You may not believe this, but the #1 question I get asked on every single platform, no matter where I'm posting content, is not what my favorite commander is, not what my favorite magic card is, not even how to get into making content, which is probably #2. It is, if I open an expensive magic card in a pack or come across an expensive magic card, what is the best way to go about selling it? And so this is the answer to that question for you or anybody else who has this question in 2 minutes or less. First of all, this question usually references a card worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, right? Somebody has gotten lucky, they've opened a serialized Aether Spark in a pack or a Neon Chocobo. I can't speak for baseball cards or comic books or Pokemon cards, but for magic cards, because so much of the game is driven by utility, right? Is the card good in a deck? You have to define, is the card expensive because it's collectible, or is the card expensive because it's actually good in Magic and is a cool version? For instance, there's a reason that 5 years ago, Time Twister was the cheapest piece of Power 9, and right now it is #2 behind Black Lotus. It's because you can play it in Commander. Now, actually, any piece of Power 9 is very sought after, but I use the example of Time Twister because it's so much more expensive now because it relates to actual gameplay in Magic. And so this kind of gets us back to the reason this question gets asked so much. Like, I get asked about serialized cards a lot. And whether we're talking serialized cards, or we're talking about Neon Pink Chocobo, or anything else that is purely collectible, that's exciting to be opened because it's so rare, your options to sell the card kind of look like this. You can sell on a platform like TCG Player or eBay, right? Those are very common, they're publicly available. You need to build up your sales history on there because you probably won't get as good of an offer if you don't have like sales history of good experiences with customers. Now, in theory, if you can get a good sale price on one of those platforms, even after paying insurance and shipping and fees and all those things, you're probably getting the most money if you can get a good sale price. You can post somewhere like a Facebook group or OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, right? You are dealing with a little bit of the Wild West there because you're gonna have people making you offers. You don't know if they're real or they're bots, or you're trying to get scammed. And so with a high value card like a $12 or a $1,500 card like that, it can be a little bit nerve wracking. I've had to do it myself. And finally, the last option, the one that I get reached out to about all the time, is you sell to a local store or to a private vendor with the intention to resell like myself, or maybe you go to like a Magic Con or a local convention and sell to a vendor. And folks like me or those vendors are gonna be offering you a percentage of that card's market value depending on how valuable the card is to them, right? Based on basically, do they think they can sell it to someone else? And so if you decide you're gonna sell the card to your local shop or to a vendor, the best thing to do to establish market prices, look at eBay last sold. Check sold listings and see if you can find some comps to understand what this is going for on the open marketplace. Because the TCG Player listing on a high-end card often isn't moving, and so that price is really hard to use to determine if that card's really worth that. At that point, the vendor or whoever's buying it from you to resell it should be paying you somewhere between like 45 and 75% of that card's market value on eBay last sold. 45 is like really low-end stuff that nobody really wants, and you might be getting 75 or even 80% on like power and duels, but that's kind of the fair range of what you should be expecting. If it's a new, trendy, hot card like one of these Neon Chocobo, I'd say, sell it probably quickly because it's probably hot right now and you might be able to get the most money for it right now. I can tell you that a lot of the serialized cards from Ravnica Remastered and Brothers War or, serialized Aether Sparks, those things are moving a lot less than they were when they first came out. Anyway, hope this helps. Hit that follow button if you guys like information like this, and comment below if you have any additional questions.